They thought he was just another black man waiting too long in a federal hallway. No badge, no hello, just hands on his arms and cuffs snapping tight. He didn't fight, didn't flinch, just glanced at his watch, calm, because he wasn't lost, wasn't trespassing. He was the highest-ranking ethics officer the Pentagon had ever quietly promoted. And in 7 minutes, everything those cops thought they controlled would crumble. Their uniforms wouldn't protect them. Their smirks wouldn't save them. Justice didn't walk in loud that day. It walked in silence. Until you see it. Let us know where you're watching from and what time you found this. We read every single comment. He was born in Savannah, Georgia, raised by a mother who worked 3 jobs and never let her pain show. Elias Rowe grew up watching her move through the world with quiet strength, and that became his way too. He was the kid who fixed broken fans, so the neighbors could sleep through the heat. He didn't talk much. He listened, learned, and he knew early on. Some people see your skin before they ever see your worth. So he learned to move quiet, wait, watch, and never beg to be seen. As he rose through the ranks, he didn't chase attention. He reshaped entire systems without making noise. Rowe caught fraud buried in layers of federal paperwork and shut it down before it ever reached the press. He rewrote ethics codes that had been broken longer than most people had been alive. No one knew his name outside the halls that mattered, but inside them, people whispered it with respect or fear. He didn't need to shout. His work spoke louder than any mic ever could. Once, at a press event, they asked him to step out of the group photo. For balance, they said. He said nothing. Just stepped back and watched. And remembered. Now he trains overlooked cadets, answers calls from janitors and generals alike, and shows up for the ones no one notices. His presence is steady. His silence? Heavy. Officer Mitch Langley didn't like that. Didn't like the stillness. The control. Langley, loud with fake charm, greets Trevor Banks, young, white, undertrained, like a new best friend. Hands him. Water claps his shoulder. Elias, already sitting with documents in front of him, gets nothing. Not even a nod. Because some people only recognize power when it raises its voice. Have you ever been judged before they even knew your name? Drop your story in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. The silence is almost over. The hallway buzzed with low chatter and echoing footsteps, the kind of background noise most people don't notice until something cuts through it. Officer Langley, standing with his fresh-faced rookie partner, leaned in with a smirk that wasn't meant to be hidden. Folks like him always hanging around where they don't belong. His voice wasn't loud, but it was pointed. It was meant to be heard. The man he was talking about? Standing still. Calm. Dressed neat, coat folded over one arm, doing nothing but waiting. Langley stepped forward, the kind of step that says, I own this space. His tone turned fake friendly. You got business in this building, sir? The man didn't blink, didn't flinch, just met Langley's stare. Do you ask everyone waiting in this hall that? Langley's grin dropped. His jaw tightened. Answer the question. Then, without warning, Langley grabbed his arm. Yanked it. Behind him with a hard jerk. Let's make this simple. Hands behind you. No cause. No badge asked for. No words exchanged. Just power. And silence. The man didn't fight. But his eyes locked dead on Langley. Like something just shifted. Like a warning had been silently issued. Down the corridor, a woman in uniform slowed. Lieutenant Harris. She didn't step in, but she saw. And that was enough. She slid her phone from her pocket and pressed record. Quietly. Carla at the front desk looked away. Mr. Ruiz, the janitor, looked up just once, then looked down harder. The room was full, but empty of courage. Langley shoved the man forward. You're resisting, he snapped. The man stumbled, caught himself, still silent, still steady. But this time, his knuckles flexed. A young officer nearby, Martinez, took one hesitant step forward. "Is this really necessary?" he asked. Langley shut him down without even turning. "Back off. This is protocol." Martinez froze. Shame flickered across his face. Not just for the man in cuffs, but for himself. Finally, the man spoke. His voice was low, steady. "You might want to double-check who you just put your hands on." Langley laughed it off, but Martinez didn't. He went still, because something in that voice didn't sound like a threat. It sounded like the ground beneath them had just shifted. What would you do if someone cuffed you on sight? Just because of how you looked? Would you yell, or stay calm and let the truth speak later? Drop your answer in the comments. And if this chapter made your blood boil, hit like and subscribe. This is just the beginning. The cuffs clicked tighter. Not by accident, not by mistake. Langley twisted them down with just enough force to make sure Rowe felt it. "Should have kept walking," he muttered like he was giving a warning. But this wasn't a warning. This was a performance. Then came the kick, hard, right at Rowe's ankle. "Down on your knees." The tone wasn't official. It was cocky, loud enough for the hallway to hear, soft enough to still pretend he had control. A few heads turned. Nobody moved. They were watching a show, and Langley knew it. Then, like a switch flipped, the whole hallway fell still. The clicking keyboards, the copier, the low morning buzz of phones. Gone. A man at the corner dropped his coffee, and no one even blinked. This wasn't just quiet. This was the kind of silence that hums right before something breaks. Rowe didn't kneel. He didn't argue. His back stayed straight. His breath was slow, his voice steady. "I will not be handled," he said. The words weren't loud, but they cut the air like glass. And while Langley stood grinning behind him, thinking he still had the upper hand, Rowe shifted his wrist. A flash of silver, a ring, then gone beneath his sleeve. Langley didn't see it, but Lieutenant Harris did. She turned without a word and disappeared down the hallway, phone still recording. Someone whispered, "I've seen that guy before." Derek, a contractor. On base, maybe. Somewhere official. The whisper traveled. Fast. Now they weren't sure what they were watching, but they were watching harder. Langley wasn't. Done. He shoved Rowe forward again into a bench. "You deaf or just used to ignoring orders?" The impact echoed. Rowe didn't flinch. He stood up, brushed his coat sleeve, said nothing. And that silence? It was starting to speak. Whispers began to ripple through the space. One woman mumbled, "Well, maybe he did do something." Another voice answered, "This don't feel right." The air started to split, some siding with the badge, others with the stillness. Rowe closed his eyes, for just a moment, not to escape, but to listen, to feel the tension stretch so tight you could almost hear it vibrate. It wasn't defeat. It was a decision. A chair slid gently behind him. Mr. Ruiz, the janitor, didn't say a word, just placed it there and walked away. But it landed like a statement. Seconds later, Rowe pulled a pen from his coat, set it on the windowsill. Nobody noticed, except Lieutenant Harris, watching through a hallway monitor. A red light blinked, then disappeared. Rowe tapped his foot. A light touch. Once. Across the room, a woman in a plain black suit checked her watch and typed something into her phone. "Commander Green." Quiet. Still. But now, moving. "Maybe he's just after a payout." Debbie from the desk scoffed. A couple fake chuckles followed. Nervous ones. The kind people use when they don't know what side they're on yet. "He's not even defending himself," someone added. Guilty people go quiet. The pile-on was subtle, but sharp. Rowe slowly reached for his ID. Not to flash it, just to hold it. Langley's bark cut the air. "Don't move!" The whole room jumped. Rowe paused, lowered his hand. Not in fear, in control. A woman leaned close. "Sir, I can call HR, or someone, if you want." Rowe turned, eyes steady, and gave her the slightest nod. Not permission. Just, "I see you." Langley saw it too. He stepped in, trying to hold ground. "You don't have clearance to intervene," he snapped. His tone was breaking. And his face? Sweating. A staffer passed with a tray of water bottles, handed them to every seated guest, except Rowe. Skipped him like he wasn't even there. It was small, but it wasn't missed. What would you do in Rowe's place? Stay silent or let the room burn? Let us know in the comments. And if your heart's racing like ours, hit like and subscribe. This fire's just getting started. Langley moved. In close, lips near Rowe's ear like he was whispering something sacred. "You think standing still makes you strong?" Then, without warning, he shoved him. Hard. Rowe's body hit a metal bench with a crash that made heads turn. And just like that, the hallway went silent. Not quiet. Still. Like the air itself. Froze. Langley raised his voice for the crowd. "He's escalating, non-compliant, aggressive." Corporal Jensen nodded from across the room without even looking. She hadn't seen a thing. But she didn't need proof. She saw a black man in cuffs and took a side. Rowe stood back up, eyes on the ceiling. Calm. "All I've ever asked for is fairness," he said. And from the side, Lieutenant Harris never stopped, filming. Then Rowe did something no one expected. He turned and walked toward the exit. The whole room let out a breath. But he didn't leave. He stopped. Turned. Walked right back to where he started. Didn't say a word. Didn't need to. Langley lost it. "Don't ignore me!" He spun Rowe around and slapped him. Loud. Open palm to chest. The sound cracked through the hallway. Gasps hit all at once. "That's too far!" Martinez shouted. Rowe didn't blink. "You just made a mistake. A public one." And Langley, trying to hold on, shoved him again. But now even his hands were shaking. What do you think Rowe should do now? Stay silent or drop the truth? Let us know in the comments. And if this moment grabbed you, hit like and subscribe. Because justice, it's coming. And it's quiet until it hits. Rowe didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. He lifted. His eyes met Langley's stare and said it plain and steady. "I've tolerated enough." There was no anger in his tone, but it cut like a blade. The hallway, already tense, sank even deeper. Somewhere behind them a chair creaked. No one moved. No one dared. Langley stepped back, posture stiff, voice trying to puff up again. "You're the one who's been difficult," he snapped, louder now, like volume could make the lie stick. But it didn't. Even the rookie next to him, Trevor Banks, looked down at the floor like it had answers he couldn't give. And then it happened. The energy shifted. Like air leaving a room. People who hadn't even been paying attention were now standing still, watching. Langley's authority drained right there in front of everyone. And all of it moved toward Rowe. Not because he demanded it, but because he earned it. Without a word of his past, without a badge, without a raised hand. Rowe unbuttoned his cuffs one by one. Rolled his sleeves slowly, as if preparing to work, not fight. A subtle light blinked down the hall. A buzzer, tripped behind a locked door that no one in that room even knew existed. Then Rowe pulled out a small folded note and handed it to Mr. Ruiz, the janitor who had watched all this unfold in silence. "Would you mind giving this to the woman by the exit?" he said softly. Ruiz nodded. No questions. He took it straight to Commander Green. She opened it, read it once, and walked off without a word. Langley narrowed his eyes. "Who are you? Texting?" he asked, forced laughter in his voice. But the sweat trailing down his temple wasn't fake. He was rattled. His control, his crowd, it was all slipping. Martinez stepped beside Rowe, leaned in and said quietly, "Want me to record the rest?" Rowe didn't say yes, just nodded, and that was all it took. Martinez hit record. Now, 2 cameras were running, one seen, one still hidden. Then Rowe spoke again. Not to Langley this time, but to the room. "This was never about rules," he said. "It's about how people treat people when they think no one's watching." The sentence was soft, but it knocked the breath out of the space. Dead quiet. Not even the AC hummed. Langley, trying to recover, muttered just loud enough, "People, like that always pull this crap." No more masks, no more code. His words stained the air around him. Carla at the desk looked down at her shoes. Trevor cleared his throat but didn't say a word. The room had heard enough. They weren't pretending anymore. Rowe turned, calm as ever. "You overlooked one thing," he said, his voice smooth, unwavering. "Everything you've done in this building is being recorded." And he didn't flinch. He didn't follow it with a threat. He didn't need to. Because in that moment, the silence was no longer on Langley's side. If you were in that room, what would you do now? Would you stay quiet or step forward? Let us know in the comments, and if this moment made you stop and feel something, hit like and subscribe. The silence is about to end. The room went still. Carla froze mid-sip, coffee never touching her lips. You could hear the second hand ticking on the wall clock like a countdown. No one moved, but every eye followed him. Then, without a word, Commander Green re-entered. Calm, focused. The camera guy quietly shifted toward her, like he'd been waiting for that signal. Rowe reached into his coat, pulled out a slim phone, and placed it face down on the table. A soft ping lit up. Most missed it. Martinez didn't. His eyes widened. Langley's voice cracked. "What the hell are you doing?" But Rowe didn't look at him. He spoke to the room instead. "You'll understand soon enough." And the silence that followed said everything. If that line gave you chills, hit like, hit subscribe. It's only getting better from here. "He never even raised his voice," Debbie whispered, near the vending machine. "You think he's someone?" The room wasn't laughing anymore. All eyes shifted back to Rowe. Something had cracked in the air, and the ones who'd stayed silent, they were now watching closer. Lieutenant Harris stepped forward, calm as ever, and placed a black leather badge case beside Rowe. No words, just the soft sound of it landing on the table. Langley stared at it, then at her, like he was finally realizing the room wasn't his anymore. Rowe flipped it open. A red light blinked inside, and suddenly a screen flickered on behind them. Footage appeared. Langley berating a Muslim woman outside the courthouse weeks ago. "You don't belong here," his voice said on loop. The room went cold. Then 2 men walked in. No rush, no noise. One wore a Navy pin, the other a Pentagon crest. Director Miles scanned the room and gave Rowe a single nod that dropped like a hammer. "This man is not under arrest," he said. "He's the lead investigator for federal civilian military oversight." Phones came out. Carla dropped her coffee. "That's why he never flinched," someone muttered. "That's him, General Elias Rowe." Rowe finally spoke. "I've been here a month. I didn't want to hear your policy. I wanted to see your habits." Langley paled. I had no idea, sir." But no one was listening. "Effective immediately," Miles continued. "Langley's access is suspended. He is under federal review." Langley edged for the exit. Green blocked his path. "Stay where you are." He was done. Rowe turned to him. "You never asked who I was. You assumed. Then to the room, to those who stayed silent but stayed watching, thank you. And as he walked out, every screen lit up. General Elias Rowe, Director of Ethics. Now they knew. Do you think Langley deserves forgiveness or the full weight of consequence? Drop your thoughts below. And if this moment hit something deep in you, like and subscribe. The silence just served justice. As Rowe pulled on his coat, Officer Martinez stepped forward, his voice low, almost shy. I've never seen someone win like that, he said. No shouting, no swinging, just truth. Rowe didn't smile, didn't gloat. He gave a small nod, quiet, final. The video spread fast, not because it was dramatic, because it was real. Raw silence in the face of loud power, and people felt it. He stood taller in silence than most do in speeches, one comment read. They didn't know his title. They just knew the way he stood. Later, when asked to speak, Rowe kept it short. Power isn't volume, he said. It's vision. Then he turned to the ones always overlooked and left them with this. If they don't see your worth, don't chase it. Stay still. When it matters, they will. Weeks later, Rowe walked back into the same building. This time no cuffs, no eyes cutting him down. Carla stood up fast. Welcome back, sir. Same place, whole new posture. And somewhere across town, Langley sat in a quiet room. No badge now, just a civilian. Watching an ethics training video. Rowe's face flashed across the screen. Langley didn't blink, didn't turn away. He watched. That was enough. For now. But the story wasn't over. Rowe stepped into a private conference room. On the table was a single folder, stamped in bold. Phase 2. National Oversight Initiative. Execute quietly. What the world had seen was just the surface. As Rowe walked out, his voice echoed. Not to anyone, just to the air. Legacy isn't in the noise you make. It's in the silence they remember you by. If this story left something in your chest, don't keep it to yourself. Hit like, subscribe. Share it with someone who needs to remember. Dignity isn't reserved for the loud or the known. It belongs to everyone. And in the comments, tell us, should Langley be forgiven? Or should he live with the weight of what he did?